Good afternoon, everybody. It's Wednesday at 12:15. We are live from the Orlando Homeowners Show, and we took last month off because it's a short week. We were focusing on investors, yet we're back with the market update, looking at real estate numbers. Great guest, good friend of mine, colleague, mentor, and currently the team leader of the Lake Market Center in Keller Williams Team. So stay tuned. We've got a great show because we are in the wild, wild west in terms of real estate market. We'll be right back. The wild, wild west, I tell you, Debbie. So when I say the wild, wild west, tell me what comes to mind. Can you attest to that? What's going on in this market?
Well, I thought the 2004, 2005 was the wild, wild west, but let me tell you, this is definitely a whole different ball game. So yes, this has been a crazy market. Running my own business, coaching other agents. The stories that are coming out are something I've never heard before.
And we're going to talk about that real quick. We are live, Debbie, so we have some people commenting. Jason Geller says hello, and also says you're one heck of a softball player.
Hey!
Story, Debbie, she was playing softball. If you know Debbie, she's slightly competitive. You had to play at the plate. You slid it home. Your knee just like burst wide open with blood. And after the game, you dressed up into like a nightly wear because you had some gala to go to, and you rubbed some dirt on your knee and went arm in arm to your date. So that story sticks out.
Yes, I still have the scar to prove it. One of the last games we played, I still have that beautiful scar. So there you go.
I didn't even know it was that big. So it was scar worthy. So that is a good story there.
Yes.
Well, hey, we're going to talk about real estate, and every month, Aura, the Orlando Regional Realtors, gives us some numbers and gives us some stats and updates. Let's look at those real quick and see if we can make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to zoom in here. So if you are watching live, we can see this. So what are we looking at here, Debbie? If you want to talk through this, and this is a buyer or seller thinking about getting in the investment game, thinking about doing a first-time home buyer move up, or thinking about selling a house, what do these numbers tell them, and what should be important?
Well, I mean, if you kind of start over from the left, or at least my left of what you're looking at the mortgage rates, of course, they're so incredibly low, which is one of the drivers, of course, of people getting out and wanting to buy. Lots of upgrades, lots of people wanting to upgrade, get out of their home. Of course, COVID's changed what they're really looking for. We see a lot of buyers kind of going, you know what, I don't love my home, I want to go buy. And then when they check the rates, they're finding out they can get a lot more house for the money than what they maybe had previously. So if you start on the rates, that's one of those drivers. But if you zoom back in for me real quick, you'll see that number there, that total number, which I believe is homes on the market if you had the very top. And I had that pulled up. And that's the number that's creating this incredible frenzy. We don't have enough homes on the market to satisfy the demand. So that's one of those things that you're looking at right there.
Yeah, and we've said this, we beat it with a dead horse. And again, the last time I did this was in January. We took off February, and I feel like we're in a completely different market just in 60 days. You know, you still have a team that, you know, the Irons Group has been around for 10, 15 years. And you've also taken additional roles. Not only are you have an active real estate team, you're overseeing one of the largest and most productive brokerages with 275 agents in it. Have you seen really the last 60 days, like I have felt the market just completely go upside down?
Absolutely. And where we are located, which is in Lake Nona. So if you look at listings, we're down about 26% just in our kind of area. There's 5 zip codes right around that Lake Nona area. And if you look at that, we are in extreme need of listings. So pretty much anything that comes on, if you look at that average days on the market, that's not what we're saying. We're pretty much saying 3 to 4 days. And that's only because we're wanting to give enough buyers a chance to get an offer in. And we're saying anywhere between 5 to 40 to 50 offers on a home. And so that's creating a lot of emotion. A lot of things are causing, especially our first time home buyers that you mentioned, it's a tough market for them right now. And we're starting to even see what we're calling market fatigue on our agents because it is exhausting.
Well, it's interesting. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but I do love that you brought up days on market because 52 is not realistic. I'd say it's more of measure how many hours is a house in the market. When you have a nice house appropriately priced, it's a matter of hours. Last week we listed a house up in Deltona, beautiful home, stage home, priced it above. We said, let's challenge the market. We didn't take a showing, we did 24 hours. That evening we had a above list price offers that we haven't even showed the house yet. And that's what we're coming into. And sure enough, 3 days later, we had eight offers to choose from. The market, the inventory is what's there. And if we look and we scroll, we keep going, this is what the inventory is used to. The same time last year, 6,800, exactly double. Exactly double. So when we look at the amount of homes that were available for buyers, last year they had twice as many options. We are down 50% in inventory. When we look at new contracts, 3,500, that's up from a couple months ago. Let's see how that compares to last year, 36. So it's not that we actually have fewer homes being sold. It's just half as many choices in good old-fashioned supply and demand kicks in. So what is your response when you're at the cocktail party or you're with the neighbors and you hear, I call Uncle Larry, always that like smart, I don't have an uncle, so if you do, I apologize. Uncle Larry is kind of like that person who has no business giving advice about real estate, but they will. And they say, don't do anything. The market's going to crash or in a bubble. Sit tight. Number one, are you with Uncle Larry? Or number two, why not? And what data do you see here that says, although it's a crazy, scary, insane time to buy, you're better off buying in 21 than 22 when you're 20. Talk to me about that.
So the answer for a lot of that is it depends. It depends on what you're looking to buy. It depends on what I call my buying power is. What type of loan are you getting? All of those kind of things. What price range? What location? What are your needs? Do you have something to sell? So there's a lot of variables that come into play. However, for most buyers, it's a fantastic time to buy because of those rates. When you actually look at the math of, okay, yes, you may pay a little bit more for a home or more, 10, 20, 30. We're seeing people pay it all day long over appraisal. Yet when you do the math over the long run with these kind of rates, you're still paying a lot less for a better house. And so we start having that conversation. We also talk about the differences in the crash of 2004, 2005, 2006 versus now. It's a completely different situation. And although we don't truly know what 2022 looks like, what we do know is that rate, man, you got to jump on that ASAP. If you've got buying power, then we can make it work and figure that out.
Yeah. Well, and I love that because even when we look at 288, which is what this says on the chart, that's last month. That's February. In March, we're seeing now mid-threes. It's already taken a hike up. So if someone's been sitting and watching, it's costing almost 3/4 of a point. Or maybe you're not watching. Maybe you just keep swinging and missing because you're one of the 9 people who didn't win. Because I'm seeing about a 10-to-1 ratio of buyers to available homes from people who want a house. I love that you said it depends. And I pulled up some stats. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It's handy. All right, I did. So I pulled up. Oh, where'd you go? I lost you. There you go. A radius, and we could look at different radiuses, but I said let's take UCF. It's a good staple icon of what I know. Then it's 10-mile radius of UCF. And if I pull this up here, this is what that looks like. And so if you look at a 10-mile radius, this takes us up to Geneva, over into almost Christmas, down to Wedgefield, a little bit back where you're at. But not quite getting down there. And then almost over here to I-4. So it's a pretty good sample size with what we're looking at. So with that radius, there are currently 303 active single-family homes in what we would call a good heart of Central Florida. So I'm going to share some numbers out with you. Take this down so you can see us again. 303 are active. Any guess on how many are currently pending? If you were to think from a ratio standpoint, I'm putting her on the spot. She did not see any of these numbers. I kind of want the shock and awe factor. This is every single family home in that 10-mile radius. And if you've got a guess in the comments, if you watch this, whether you're a realtor or a prospective buyer or seller, how many are currently under contract? 303 available. How many are gone?
So I'm gonna double that. I'm gonna go with 650. That's gonna be my
triple that. 904.
There we go. Yep.
3 times as many homes are currently under contract when the average contract closes in about 30 to 40 months. Right? 3 times as many. Now, in the past 90 days, there's 303 for sale. How many have sold in the past 90 days? Single family. I guess we can do the math off of the pending, right?
I was going to say, yeah, we can kind of cheat on that one, but yes, about 1,500, 1,800.
Spot on, 1,544. 1,544 for 90 days. That's 515 homes a month are sold and 300 are available. Now, when we talk about a buyer's and a seller's market, Debbie, we do it based off of supply and demand. And we do it based off 6 months becomes a buyer's market. 4 to 6 months is balanced, or 5 to 6 months, and under 5 is a seller's market. I'll do the math. I already did it. In that radius of 10 miles, which is Geneva, 528 to Christmas to I-4, we have 18 days of inventory. The reason that it is still a crazy yet advantageous time to buy, even paying top dollar, even paying $20,000 to $30,000 above list price, is because we need to make up 3,000 homes of inventory to get back to a buyer's market, which will shift the price.
Yes.
I need everyone to hear that. We need to increase our inventory 10 times to get back to a buyer's market. So I did some more stats. I don't know if you like this game. You're a scientist before you're a realtor. You like numbers.
Yes, I'm waiting for your graphs to pop up.
I didn't do it because that would have created too much. So we're just talking. We're live. And this does get converted to a podcast, which is only audible anyway. So podcast listeners, you are not missing out on too much. And anything you are, I'm going to make sure we really hear see it in the comments. I took those homes, of those 303 active, and I said under 300,000. Under 300,000 homes, radius from 528 Geneva, I-4 to Christmas. How many are available, single family?
So I'm going to shoot for 20% and go with 60.
Woo, you are good at what you do. 65. Nice. If I had an award, I'd give it to you. So 60, if you are looking for a single family home within 10 miles of UCF, I don't care anything else besides that. You're going, I can spend $300,000. You have 65 houses to choose from. Now, Debbie, when I would work with buyers and we would start our home buying search, my goal is to get to 35 to 50 eligible candidates that they can then search and choose their top 8 that then we can look at properties. That was always my goal. Essentially, if someone said, I want to be within 10 miles of UCF, single family home of 300,000, our criteria search would be done. I'd say, here's 65. Go drive around the mall. Of that, how many are pending? How many under 300,000 are pending? 20% of the active. What percent of the pending?
What percentage are pending for?
Under 300,000 in that radius.
So if we go kind of with the math again, I would say 180.
And it's 33%, so 300. So there's 5 times many more pending than there are for sale under 300.
Yeah. And
534 have sold in the past 90 days, which is 178 per month. And so under 300,000, you have 11 days of
and just think, Rick, that doesn't even count some of those for sale by owners, because I know those are becoming a big player, and a lot of the new construction. I mean, whoever thought we'd see lottery come again? Remember back in the day? You may not remember, they started to have lotteries, and I'm starting to see those come. So That doesn't even include all of those. And so
yeah, this is the resale market.
yes.
Well, and this is why it's bananas. So how are you preparing buyers, or how are you preparing your agents to prepare buyers, or even prepare themselves for the market that we're in now? What is changing in the way we need to operate as professionals and experts? And what is changing the way buyers need to think about writing offers?
This is a great question, because it used to be, or gosh, like you said, even a year ago, we were talking about making sure, of course, you're representing your buyers at the highest level, making sure you're protecting them. That word protection came up quite a bit. We were looking at comps. We were talking to them about appraisals. We were kind of just giving them all of the information to make sure that we were protecting them. Now the conversation changes. First of all, we're talking about motivation, why you need to buy, how quickly you need to buy. We're talking about, if you love this home, how are we going to secure that offer? So that's a different conversation of, hey, we want to make sure we're not overpaying, to how are we going to get this home under contract? Here are the options. Here are the top things that we can do to kind of sway that listing agent over to us. This is what we're going to need to go in with to be super strong and to be relevant in this market. So no longer is it, hey, let's make sure we protect and not overpay, right? Because we had a lot of people that were scared to death to overpay because of what happened. Lots of people went into short sales and foreclosures and things like that. It's a different mentality. If this is the house that you want, we talked about your motivation to buy and why you're buying. This is what your payments are going to look like. This is why it's important. Your appraisal may come in low, yet this is what we're going to do and how we're going to protect you. So it's giving them options and telling them how we're going to go in strong. It's preparing them for what this is going to look like. And so you're doing your buyer a disservice if you're not having that conversation up front, because it's really important. Sometimes, though, let's face it, sometimes they need to almost feel that pain a little bit, that we're not just trying to sell them or oversell them. Our job is to get you that home. If you love it, it doesn't mean we're just doing things blindly. However, we're making sure we're setting you up to first get that under contract as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, and which remind me to go back and that under contract as soon as possible. But it almost makes comps and comparables go out the window. Mm-hmm. Here's a house I love. This checks all the boxes. It's perfect in every way. What do the comps say? And the answer is almost like, it doesn't matter if it's a 90 to 60 to 180 days old. It doesn't matter what comps say, how bad you want this house. And the hard part right now is, if they're not willing to pay for it now, they're going to have to pay.
Yeah, the buyers are the one determining the market price. I hear it quite a bit. Oh, well, it's overpriced. So we're thinking, it doesn't matter. The buyers are determining value, not the comps 90 days ago or 6 months ago. The buyers are determining, and it's going to get multiple offers. So where are we going to be in this game, and how are we going to win the deal? That's what's super important. It's not the comps anymore.
Well, and what's neat, I had lunch with Tony Galarza yesterday, so we talked about, buyers paying $10,000 to $20,000, $30,000 and willing to go above appraisal. So a house praises for $280, they'll go, I'll pay you $300 still. And what's going to happen is it's going to sell when now that house that appraised at $280 has a new comp at $300. And so 90 days from now, all of these overpriced comps, I believe we're going to see a price increase steep curve up, because buyers are willing to pay over. So, we share all of this because I hear, not often, but I hear it can't sustain. And I'm going, I agree based off of logic, but based off of numbers, 18 days of inventory, 11 days for that first time home buyer market inventory, we've got to go hard. We've got to go fast.
Yeah.
Debbie, running the team, you and I are busy, right? You're more busy because you've got the team leader, which I've been in that role. That was my previous life. Now you're the stuff. Now you're the opportunity. Yet we used to be able to say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, let's have a conversation Tuesday. Let's look for homes. And this Saturday morning, let's go out and look at 7 homes. We're writing off this weekend. I could do that like in December. And now if we have a consultation Tuesday and something Wednesday morning shows up, I need to clear my schedule, get out by Wednesday and send a ready offer because we have a contract. So how are you preparing? What are your buyers sharing, your agents, excuse me, of going, how are they pivoting and shifting to remain a value and experts that the buyers need to be interviewing? Because not all agents are created equal. We're all not leveraged equal. We're all not thinking equal. So what do you think needs to happen now to remain a top producer in this market in terms of how you're reacting?
So we talked about that market fatigue thing that I'm seeing quite a bit with our agents. And so I'm very much coaching into the leverage piece. Now, that doesn't mean building a big team, bringing on a bunch of buyers agents. That's not necessarily what I mean, because leverage can come in many different forms. So people, systems, tools, right? So it depends, and every agent's slightly different on the leverage that they need. One of the most popular that I'm finding right now is a showing assistant. That's a model that Keller Williams uses quite a bit. And so we're really implementing that more than ever, because let's face it, we can't be in two places at one time. And so if you can bring on an agent, we have lots of new agents. We also saw that article, right? More agents than there are homes to sell. So you have a lot of people coming into the business that want to learn and want to shadow, and they love to show homes. So what better way than to partner with some of those agents and say, hey, great, I'm going to hire you as my showing assistant. There's a lot of different ways you can pay them: by the door, by the mile, by the hour, at closing. There's a lot of different models that we use. But that's a great way to leverage yourself, because it's no longer, like you said, you go out on a Saturday, maybe 2 days in a row, you show 25 homes, 10 homes, hopefully, which don't exist anymore. And then you write the offer and you're done. This is very much, I got to get out within the hour and get out when a new home pops up. So some buyers you're taking out 5, 10, 15 times. So you really need to be smart and do the math in your head of, is it smarter for me to hire a showing assistant and pay X dollars rather than me taking 10 trips out to show 10 different homes, 10 different days, and write 10 different offers? That doesn't make sense. And the leverage could come in form of just home things. Hey, I need more help at home so I can spend more time on my business. It can be also like, get rid of that TC, get rid of that admin. There's lots of leverage pieces that are going to come into play right now if you want to win. And you should be attending education like nobody's business to figure out what the other agent's doing in order to win. You notice I keep saying that win word. So yes, you want to win. This is a winning game.
Yeah, well, and people hire us so they can win that multiple situation. People hire us so they can win against the appraisals for those sellers. I've got your name scrolling down here. If you're listening to this and not watching it, then take a look at the comments, because Debbie's contact is there. And if what she just described spoke to your soul, that you think you would like to be one of those showing assistants, to be that, let me help somebody else and also get some great on-the-job training, or you are in that spot that says, I need help, and it sounds like, because Debbie, you're actually creating, and that'll be a whole different podcast we'll talk about. You're creating kind of our goal is a turnkey showing assistant model that your top agents in your office can just go to, subscribe, whether it's long-term, short-term, permanent, or relief. It's there. So there's Debbie's contact there. Debbie, I want to play one more guess the numbers game. Same radius, 10 miles from UCF, Geneva to 528, I-4 to Christmas, over 750,000. We just did the under 300 first-time home buyer market. Now we're going to do the luxury market. Of the 303 homes, 65 were under 300. How many are over 750?
So I'm going to go at about 45.
So it's higher than under 300. 74 active.
Okay.
Single-family homes. We're surprised that there were more luxury homes than under 300.
Yeah.
When we look compared to the under 300, there are 300 pendings. How many pending luxury homes are there? 75 active. How many pending?
So I would say maybe let's go with 100.
Close. I like that you went lower. It's about a 1-to-1. It's 88.
Okay.
So the entire market had 3 times more pending than active. The under 300,000 market had 5 times more pending than active. The luxury market has 1-to-1. And of the sold, it's 112 in the past 90 days, which is 37 a month. So in the other scenarios, we're talking about days or weeks. You you actually do have 2 months of inventory. I'm still here. You have 2 months of inventory in the luxury market. That seems like a long time, doesn't it?
It does. Although I will say, definitely in and around our area, this is the first time I've ever seen it where for luxury property, you still need to call ahead and say, is it available? If you put a showing out for somebody flying in for the weekend and they're maybe 2 or 3 days out, you used to never have to worry about that. Of course, it was still going to be on the market. This is the first time you have to almost treat it like if it were an under 400,000 type listing of where is it still available, and getting multiple offers. I don't even remember that back in the days of, 2004, 2005. So it's the first time luxury I've seen move so incredibly quickly in our area for sure.
Well, and I love the perception because it is there. When I say 2 months is like a long time, it does compared to 11 days. It's still massively a seller's market. I did these same numbers. It was maybe a year and a half ago. I was right when I shifted back away from team leader into sales. I was in a team meeting, and the luxury market in East Orlando was 8 months ago, and now we're 2 months. So luxury sellers, you're still going to get top dollar. Yeah. Luxury buyers, you still have to go in strong, have to go in fierce. You might not have to take vacation days and clear your schedule and give your firstborn child to the seller like you do in other price points, yet it's still there. So is it a good time to sell, Debbie?
Well, it's a fantastic time to sell. Investors, take note. I mean, you really should be doing the math and running your spreadsheets on what makes the most sense. Selling, holding the money, waiting for whatever to happen. As you said, it's going to take a while before we have this big shift that everybody's talking about. We'll see what happens. It's also still a great time to invest. I'm still hearing of flips and wholesale deals happening all the time. So the real estate market is happening all the way around, no matter which way you're looking at it. But as far as sellers, of course, you're in the driver's seat. You have more, maybe you have a tenant. You can still sell the property these days with a tenant. I mean, that's what kind of demand you're talking about. Maybe that needs work. Maybe it needs a new roof. All of these things, it can happen. Almost any scenario, we can probably find a buyer for you.
Yeah. Well, and that, the devil's advocate would say, well, if the market is so wild, wild west, why would I just hold on to it and ride the wave up? And from a wealth building perspective, if it's in the cards and financially for you and you can afford to do it, and you choose to be a landlord and have that, it's a great wealth building strategy. So we can talk to you about that. In fact, starting in a couple of weeks on April 13th, I am doing a 6-week long, Tuesdays from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock with a hold seminar. Let me see what the hold is. We're going to go through, Debbie, this hold book and do a 6-week webinar seminar on if you want to get in the buying and holding game of real estate. Then mark your calendars for Tuesdays from 1 to 2 o'clock starting April 13th, going into May, because this is how to find, buy, rent houses, and build. It is there. I've talked people out of selling their house because it's a great strategic way to build wealth. Some people don't want to play that game. Some people don't want to be a landlord. Some people are too emotionally attached. Some people need the equity to buy the next house. I get it. But it's a great time to sell because inventory is the driver's seat. It's a great time to buy, and my friends make fun of me for this. If you're a buyer right now, God bless you, right? Because it's a difficult time to buy. It doesn't mean it's not the right time. Because when we look at the median price point, let's use a round number of 300,000. The price point year over year has gone up 12%. The median price, right? You agree with that? You don't have to agree. That's enough. So math tells me that's 1% a year. On a $300,000 house, that's $3,000 a month. On 30 days a month, that is $100 a month. That is $1,000 every 10 days. So buyers that are thinking about, I'll wait until school's done, that's great. Statistically, the way it's projecting, every day that you choose to wait, your house is $100. That's the market we're in right now. That's the market we saw back in 2014, 15, 16, when you're seeing double-digit price increases again. And everyone said it can't sustain. And you know what? We might not have gone for that 18, 19, 20. And what, 19 and 20, we slowed down to like 5 to 6%. Here we are. So once a month, I do these. How's the market? What is the numbers telling us? Is my opinion? Yes. Is it Debbie's opinion? Yes. Is our opinion based on living it, seeing it, analyzing it, studying it every day? So I trust it's an opinion that you take. Help them Larry to shut it. Just kidding. Any final thoughts? We're at 12:45. We're against the clock, Debbie. Final thoughts talking to the buyers, the sellers, or the agents who need to think about this isn't 2019.
So I definitely want to bring in the agents because I just had this conversation. A lot of people, as you know, getting into the market and they'll say, is this a good time to become a real estate agent? A lot of people coming out of different industries due to COVID, especially because they're kind of forced. They've always thought about it and wanted to get into the industry. Love to have a conversation because there are a bunch of questions. The answer is, again, it depends. However, this is a different market. I'm also coaching everybody to realize the market you're coming into, it's a fabulous time. You're going to learn all kinds of things. That's not necessarily a typical market. And these are the things that you want to prepare for. So is it still a great time to get in real estate? You know, because I believe you got in when the market was at its lowest. The answer is absolutely. If you've thought about real estate, if you think real estate is the way you want to go to build a career, the answer is absolutely. The opportunities are endless. It's simple. It's not easy. It is a hustle. However, the end reward can be incredible.
Yeah, big risk, big reward, and not for the faint of heart. It is not like what you see on TV, yet it is very rewarding. I'm loving it. Debbie, thanks so much for joining us, being our guest. I'll chat with you after we go off here, so don't hang up. Everyone else, we will see you next week. We're going to be with a home warranty, learning about what warranties can do for you if you're a current homeowner. We're going to talk more with Donna York, who's in home buyer's warranty. And the week after that, talking with an appraiser to go of all the elements. The appraisers are the ones that are kind of making things difficult. So we're going to get inside scoop from the appraiser. And don't forget, mark your calendars, April 13th for the whole webinar. Thanks, Debbie. We'll see you on the other side.
Bye.